Hey, and welcome to another episode of Art Tapas, bite-sized tips for the mixed media artist. So today I want to answer a question that I got on my Facebook page after I posted the Art Tupper about storing acrylic paints. And my friend Karen D'Angelo asked me a further question, which is more heat sensitive. Acrylic paints or watercolors. My building is steam heated and one of my storage areas is located near a seasonal pipe. Well, first of all, I'm not a watercolor expert. I do use watercolors once in a while, but it's not my main medium that I use. And so what are you doing when you are not an expert? Well, you find someone who is an expert. And I'm happy to know my friend Mario Robinson, who is an amazing watercolor artist. You have to check him out. I will link him up. He also teaches, and I'm telling you, he's the guy when it comes to watercolor. So I wrote in an email and I asked Karen's question, and here's what he had to say about that. He first of all recommends that if you are using tube watercolors, that you actually only buy what you will need in short time. So rather than storing them for long periods of time, essentially some colors might be faring better than others. But he says, in general, avoid storing them because the binder, the gamma arabic in watercolor, can cause a pigment to become brittle once that is supposed to air. So unopened tubes are, of course, better suited for storage. And he has some that he stored for like up to 6 months and they were fine. But again, pan watercolors, they are the ideal way to go in reference to storing watercolor. And that can be an indefinite time. They are having actually a smaller amount of binder and they have way more pigment, and so they can be easily reactivated with a wet brush, and they are also less likely to crack or break down. He also talked about watercolor sticks that I've never used. I need to. And he said they contain a very high level of pure pigment and a small amount of binder. And so they can be used like pan watercolors as well. And it sounds like there would be an optimal watercolor that you can store too. Mario also added an extra tip, which I thought is awesome, and I will include that. He said he would resist using dried out pigment of a palette. There's a risk of mold as well as the breaking down on the color as it dries out. It's better to squeeze a small drop onto the palette and replenish it throughout the painting session. That I thought was brilliant to add to, and I thank Mario for answering Karen's question, and I hope that helped you all too. So if you have any questions that I can answer in Art Tuppers, or maybe find one of my expert friends, let me know.